Hello and welcome. You're watching me, Sanket on TheFederal. The show is called AI with Sanket. This is the AI of news because news in India today requires not artificial but analytical intelligence. Remember the Cockroach Janata Party protest. It not only gave this country new leaders or new faces of a student movement, it also introduced to this country very many journalists who created a mark for themselves in covering this protest. Since this was a Gen Z protest, legacy media ignored it, perhaps they could not understand it, and a Gen Z media understood it really well, how to decode the message and to do it in the same format that Gen Z understands, which is Instagram. I have the founders of one such organization which did wonders in the coverage, PeekTV founder Priyanshi as well as Vedant. They're also my former colleagues from NDTV. So I'm privy to this journey that PeekTV has taken, and it's nothing but peak now. You guys are absolute rock stars, and what you're achieving is visible wide in a telescope. So thank you very much for joining us, and great stuff with your coverage, by the way.
Thank you so much for having us here, sir. It's such an honor being on the same podcast with you.
Come on. I want to know from the two of you, who decided to cover the CJP protest for what? How many? 37 days?
36 days.
36 days. Who between the two of you said, let's cover this non-stop?
I think so. We, from the start, we thought that this is some sort of a tipping point. This is not a usual kind of mobilization. But then it peaked on the 6th of July, on the first day of the protest. And then there was a sort of a lull where nothing major was happening at the protest. But then Priyanshi said that the fact that you have...
That's the day Sonam Wangchuk sat on a fast.
Yeah,
because the protest began on the 20th of June.
Yes. 20th of June, yes.
6th of June was one day of the protest. 20th of June they came back, and then they sat for 1 month straight.
Yeah.
And Sonam Wangchuk started his hunger strike on 29th of June.
29th of June.
So we had a discussion, and Priyanshi said that the fact that you have such a senior educator, innovator, globally renowned scientist sitting on a hunger strike in the heart of Delhi, this is a story that that cannot be ignored. And even if it means that we go there and simply mark the protest by telling you that this is day 18, this is day 12, this is day 13 of the protest, and for the past so many days you have not only this globally renowned educationist but also 6 students who are sitting on a hunger strike for a cause that even the worst critics of the movement would agree is a very important cause. And the fact that this has mainstreamed education, employment, and it has spotlighted these issues that are very central issues, we cannot ignore, which is why I think we had that discussion that even if it means sparing half an hour, 45 minutes of our day and going there and marking the protest. And
so you were not there 24/7 for 37 days. You just kept, because I was quite concerned. Frankly, more like a concerned senior or a parent for the two of you. What are you doing?
Yeah.
My biggest concern was that are you embedded with the Cockroach Janata Party, which was a big concern for me.
Which we were not.
Yeah, of course you were not. Yeah.
But yeah,
also,
I think,
that message also should not go across that your journalism is getting impacted or biased by what you're seeing around you, because one has to be dispassionate.
Absolutely. And how Vedant said that we made it a point to mark the protest. Some days we also used to discuss, is it becoming repetitive? We are going in front of Sonam Wangchuk saying today is lost 5 kgs, today is lost 9 kgs.
His ketone level is this much.
His ketone level is this much, blood pressure is this much. We used to feel that, but we thought that regardless of any of this, every day we do find some of the other news story to do. Someday we find a retired colonel who has joined the protest. Someday we find a mother who has joined the protest with 4 of her kids. So every day we would find news stories, or even if it were repetitive. One thing that we thought to ourselves also was that when Sonam Wangchuk sits on a hunger strike in Ladakh, we cover it from here because we can't go there. Now he's sitting here. So many students
Surely
are
we can cover this.
Yeah. And even if that, sir, on some days meant that we had to sort of do a double shift job, that during the daytime or during one part of the day, we would cover other news also, because it's not that the news cycle stopped. So we had to do justice to our platform as a news channel. So we used to cover other stories as well. We've also traveled in between for other stories. He has gone to MP and Dehradun also. But to manage that and this, some days we had to do sort of that double shift, but we thought that it's all worth it, covering that story while it's happening in our city.
And maybe in retrospect, we also somehow knew that it would culminate into something big. Not that we knew that Dharmendra Pradhan would resign, or there would be, the kind of police brutality or this kind of confrontation that took place, but it would culminate into something momentous. That was the instinct that somewhere we had. And perhaps that also kind of kept us motivated in covering this.
And kept us motivated even though the story stopped getting views also at one point. Let me
Really?
tell you that.
Yeah.
Yes. Some people...
Because the common explanation will be that this is a students' movement and it's blown up on Instagram, 22 odd million followers. So it will be big on Instagram if you continue doing it.
Yeah,
and you said that the views dropped.
The views dropped in between. I'll tell you very specifically also, a lot of people would tell us that, oh, you're covering this ताकि तुम लोगों को views मिले so that you get views. But I'd like to tell them that when the protest...
What's the harm in doing this?
Yeah, but that was not the driver, is what we want to signal through this, and I'll talk that through numbers. On 6th of June, of course, this protest was getting views because it was new for people to see so many people coming on the ground and protesting. Then on 20th of June, when they came back to protest, there were views,
but
definitely
decent,
people
still
were watching. Still,
significantly lower.
But still 20th, still people were watching. Then after 4-5 days, around 24th, 25th, people also stopped caring because
Of June.
Of June.
And Sonam Wangchuk was not in the picture so far.
No. He had visited first on 20th of June, but then he went to Switzerland and he wasn't there. So 24th, 25th, even when we used to go there used to be 20, 30, 40, 50 people. And even many of those used to be from student organizations and not so many citizens coming out to protest. So we still kept at it even when there were no views. And then, of course, views started going up when Mr. Sonam Wangchuk was there. Even for the first few days of his hunger strike, people did not care much. But after that, views started picking up. So this is a misconception actually, that throughout it was only for views.
No, it's interesting. And see, my logic, Vedant, is that there is no harm in seeking views. Right? After all, we are journalists and we want our story to be told to the world, for the world to see. Otherwise, we all can present the news in front of a mirror for ourselves, right? So it's for an audience, so we need the audience. But are we compromising on journalistic ethics for views? That is the key concern. And that is where my concern was, that through the course of this coverage, going there every day, are you getting too influenced and emotionally attached to the subjects that you are covering? So that you don't even... So much so that you don't even look at the possible mistakes that they may be making, journalistically.
Yeah. So 2 things here, sir. First, I think this is something that we have realized through the past 1 year, that each time we have done something for views, and there have been instances where we thought, okay, this story, whatever, might not be that important, but might get us views. Every time we have done something just for views, we haven't gotten the views. Because
that's an important message for all those people who think that this was done for views. Listen in.
Because, for example, we did some story on ChatGPT. I remember something to...
it doesn't work like this.
Using ChatGPT as your therapist.
Using ChatGPT as a therapist, or do you say please or thank you, ChatGPT, it costs this much or whatever.
So it bombed.
It bombed. Then stuff like air pollution, stuff like Yamuna, that got us so many views. But those things we weren't doing for views. We genuinely care about air pollution, and we genuinely feel that this is something that we need to raise constantly and talk about with some sense of nuance and depth.
Hawa
The
Abhiyan.
Swachh Hawa Abhiyan. Even at NDTV, we used to cover this relentlessly, and this is something that means a lot to us, and we have some depth and nuance as far as this entire issue is concerned, and we are passionate about it. We didn't do it for views, but it got us so many views. So, even it's something like the Aravalis. We went to Haryana for it. We covered that story. We didn't do it for views, but it got us so many views and the eyeballs, and it was being talked about in the right places. But we didn't do it for those reasons. So
and even Ken Betwa, it had been covered before that also, and we also didn't think that it will get these many views.
We were doing it through stringers, but then we thought that this is a story that captures the India story on so many levels.
So you have to go there and do it.
Yeah, because you have these tribal people protesting. Nobody is listening to them. These people are saying that the forest is everything for us, and we are ready to die on the river.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a performative art that it's more than a protest. It's
Tell
like
me
a
something,
performative art.
what has worked for you? And by the way, everybody should know that your primary format of delivering news is Instagram. Vertical format news, short news, and that's why the name PeekTV, right? So this vertical format, which means news to be delivered in 2 or 180 seconds, 3 minutes, has completely redefined a conventional understanding that these are boring subjects and people don't want to watch it. At least that was the jargon that was thrown by television for the TRP ratings, that these subjects nobody likes to watch. Do a lot of tamasha and then people will watch. You've turned the argument around on the head.
Yeah, in NDTV, when we used to cover pollution, top of prime time bulletins. Or rupee, or inflation, or GDP. Other channels would be doing some or the other. This minister has shaken hands with that minister.
Or Mandir Masjid.
Or Mandir Masjid, or some such. NDTV training, I think, has instilled this in us. That brings that passion for issues like pollution, issues like Yamuna, or issues like, budget for CAQM, the air pollution body, that budget has been cut. These issues that otherwise would look boring, we still do them, and we still do them not because of us, but because of the training we got at that institution.
And it received instant validation with the views that you got
Yeah.
in a new format, which means that people do care about it. They were just not getting it.
Just a small example here, that during the Cockroach Janata Party protest, and why I keep coming back to Ken Betwa, because it's a clear parallel. Both were happening at the same time. The Cockroach Janata Party protest definitely was getting views and followers at that point. Ken Betwa, I think our reports in total got 20-30 million views.
Oh, wow.
Which was equivalent, I think, in that duration, how many views the Cockroach Janata Party protest got.
How do you select this? How do you select your news?
By not being driven by views, I think.
Yeah. So I think,
Well said.
Yeah, by not being driven by views, and like I said earlier as well, that we just look at what is the larger story that this moment is capturing. Is this a moment of transition? Is it a moment of regression? What does this moment capture? What does this story capture? Otherwise, there are endless stories to cover.
Yeah.
And just that point you were making about the vertical format, I think it's more than vertical and more than Instagram. It's also about being authentic. People want to consume news in a way that is authentic, and that because that kind of resonance only comes if you're authentic. It can be vertical, it can be landscape. Today Instagram is a platform in Vogue, tomorrow it's some other platform. So we have to be ready to be able to kind of adapt to new platforms, and for that you have to be authentic. Nobody wants to watch somebody sitting on a pedestal
Rehearsed.
and talking down to you, rehearsed, orchestrated. It's all about being authentic.
Which is what TV has become.
TV, or otherwise also, even a lot of our politicians, those who have been able to kind of communicate with the younger lot, are people who are authentic, are people who are willing to. Our generation wants things equal. There has to be egalitarianism. You cannot be sitting on a pedestal and preaching. So I think that it's more than vertical and more than Instagram. It's about that kind of authentic communication.
Nice.
That's
So
important.
Gen Z does not need televangelists. You need come at the same level and talk to us.
Yeah.
Another point that I wanted to ask the both of you, in your understanding of the journalism that you did in PeekTV and still doing, how much in the studio reporting is rewarded versus going somewhere on the ground and giving it to me to sound, as Vedant said, authentic?
Definitely going on the ground is praised more, appreciated more. And we think that we got praise for this because this kind of ground reporting was somewhat missing on social media. On social media, the people, the creators you have in the news industry, most of them sit in a studio and it's very well researched videos that they do, but they are sitting somewhere and giving out their research, giving out their analysis. And we know plenty of names who have done really well. You have your Dhruv Rathi and you have your other news commentators who have done really well through this. So those were your news creators on social media. There weren't many people who were seen as ground reporters but were still relevant and popular, quote unquote, on social media. So I think that gap is something that we also realized later, because we also initially started, most of our coverage used to be sitting in studios.
In the studio, yeah.
We rarely used to go out, but that changed when we regularly started going out for stories like air pollution, protests. I think within 2-3 months of our existence, we started going out just to experiment, and we saw that people want to see a lot more.
And the good thing about this vertical format is that you don't have to produce a 15-minute piece or a 20-minute piece. You just have to produce a 3-minute piece, which would require less editing, less shooting time, less everything. But yes, greater concentration to know what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. I think that is, people look at short form as easier, but I think even in journalism schools, etc., it's always said that writing short is more difficult than writing long.
Of course it is. The hardest thing to do is to be simple.
Is to be simple and short and, kind of, because in our 90-second long videos, we make sure that every second we are giving out something meaningful. Every second we are giving out new information, a new perspective, new questions. You cannot ramble, you cannot go into 10 different directions. Like you don't have that liberty, because every second is valuable.
But that's not a luxury you have on the ground. Yeah. You see, in a studio, you can structure your script and then you can make sure that you're not rambling. On the ground, it is that moment which is the most important.
But even on the ground, sir, we edit our videos sometimes ourselves. Because if we think that I've said the same thing thrice in 3 different ways, that is wasting my viewers' time. So short form is also a lot about valuing your viewers' time, and that short form viewer is very unforgiving. If you say the same thing twice, I'm going to scroll up because I think you are being repetitive. So that fight is not even of a channel being changed, of a button being pressed. It's easier than that. It's just a scroll.
It's so amazing, you know, because for journalists, my generation, my vintage, repetition is an art.
To sustain on a story.
Exactly. To sustain on a story, you use repetition as a valid means of taking a story forward. And now here I learn something totally different. This is Gen Z for you. This is consumption patterns for you. Very interesting. Let's now quickly get back to the Cockroach Janata Party protest. I think everything for everyone changed on the 20th of July. Everything before that was a prequel. And then suddenly, on the 20th of July, something happened. I have a feeling, Priyanshi and Vedant, that Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation happened because of the violence on the 20th of July. Otherwise, the government was not feeling the pinch or the heat. They suddenly realized that, oh God, there are lakhs of people who are affected and they have come to Delhi. Right? So that is what changed. What is your impression?
After 20th July, it stopped being a Cockroach Janata Party protest or a Jantar Mantar protest. After 20th July, it became the youth of the country versus the force, the brute force of the state and the ignorance of the state. Because the crowd is one part of it, that so many people showed up, more than 1 lakh people showed up. Wherever you could see, you could just see people on that entire 800-meter stretch of the Parliament Street. But those people showing up was one thing. The government could have still thought that these people are not going to show up again. It's one day and they will disperse and matters will end. But because of the police brutality, even the staunchest BJP supporters, some of them started coming to the protest the next day. So 20th July might have made you feel that after this, parents will say, don't go to this protest, this is what happens.
The reverse happened.
Yes, the reverse happened.
Wow.
We saw 5-year-old kids coming, 11-year-old kids coming. We've spoken to these kids and they're coming with their parents. And we asked those parents, how are you not afraid? Because my sister-in-law wanted to come, my bhabhi wanted to come. She has a baby. And all of us told her that, of course, you can't go because these are the kind of things that are happening. So I was asking these parents and they said that if our kids, these people are also like our kids, if they can get beaten up, then our child should also be ready. And we are doing this for our children only. It was unbelievable what these people were saying. And I think what happened after July 20th is that people saw that this is the worst that can happen now. We have seen what's the worst that can happen, and that doesn't scare us anymore.
Yeah.
So the government just showed them and, made their worst fears real. So those worst fears stopped being people's worst fears.
Which is very interesting. And I also saw a thinning of the crowd before Sonam Wangchuk. In fact, the crowd was pretty thin even when Sonam Wangchuk was there.
Yeah.
It's suddenly around the 17th or the 18th day that the crowd started picking. And then when he was picked up by the cops, that is when a sudden change happened where more and more people, and then of course, after the 20th, you had a sea of people there. They were sleeping there. They were.
So I
what
think
was your experience like?
So again, like you said, I think the government, for a government that is known to have its ear to the ground so strongly, they really misread a lot of things. For example, what they did with Sonam Wangchuk, that image moved people to an extent. Then what happened on the 20th, those images simply, the kind of effect it had, it really moved people. People said, people who were not coming to the protest and thought that it's not worth their time, all of them started thinking that now is the time to show up. Now is the time to show up for these people, for the victims of police brutality. So I think the government thought that they could do away with this crowd. And that's where they got it wrong, because they couldn't do away with it. And the kind of, they got anxious after they saw those images of the 20th, not just of the police brutality, but almost Nepal-like images. Now, I'm not saying that there was that kind of vandalism, or you can compare the two protests, by any metric. But the fact is that now there is this kind of template image of people, of youngsters blocking roads. A central road being blocked by youngsters has a symbolic value.
Yeah.
And those images going out in the international press is very shameful. We are not like Nepal or Bangladesh. We are a vibrant, functioning democracy. And if you're seeing these kind of images on our central roads, not in Jantar Mantar, these are central roads, some of the most important landmark roads of the country, and them being blocked this way by a sea of youngsters is a very embarrassing image for the government. And that's when they got rattled, that now they, and then they took all the wrong steps. They didn't know what to do. And which is why they conceded so easily also, perhaps, because they didn't want these images to go out.
Yeah, but have they learned their lesson or not? I don't know. Now there are stories of cases being filed again, and then those cases being rolled back or taken back. This whole thing about Gen Z giving gali, as if netas don't give galis. It's really funny. I want to know from the two of you, was it that bad on the gali front? Everybody was abusive. My impression was that I never saw a single poster
Exactly.
with anything abusive.
So there were also different, when there's a crowd, there are all kinds of people in a
Correct.
crowd. There were different kind of people in a protest also, and we are no judges of whether, I'm no judge of whether people should abuse or no, but you see this in protests. In protests, people do swear. In
They're
protests.
designed to make people uncomfortable.
Some of these slogans are provocative, and that's not unusual. This is not the first time that people have sweared or abused in a protest. Even on those walls outside Jantar Mantar, the walls that line the Imperial Hotel of Connaught Place, there were a lot of abuses on that graffiti that was painted on that wall. And even outside Jantar Mantar on Sansad Marg, at night we used to be there till very late, and there were slogans which had abuses and which had expletives. But I don't know how criminal is that. I don't know whether they should be treated how they are being treated now, that accounts are
I would say it's
now.
far less criminal than breaking people's bones, firing pellet guns, What else was done?
AK-47 in Bihar.
AK-47 in Bihar. Images of cops wielding the lathi on a woman's private parts.
Yeah.
And whatnot. You have used pellet guns, you've done all sorts of things, and you're worried about gali.
Yeah.
And
amazing.
these people who are giving galis, also I would like to say that it's not this one category of people who are trying to color this protest. There were a lot of people like us also, because as I said, in protests, by us, I don't mean we were a part of it, but I'm saying people who our age,
Yeah.
people coming from urban India also, rural India also, different class backgrounds, they were all a part of this, because as I said, it becomes a part of the protest.
Correct.
Not to, I'm not taking any side here, I'm just telling you what we saw.
Of course. Now, one thing that I want to ask you is that as a fallout of this protest and its success, we've suddenly seen a lot of politicians hailing Gen Z and then trying to use Gen Z language to look cool. They look anything but.
Yeah.
Right? Suddenly, for member of parliament to do delulu and these signs and this and as Gen Zs yourself, I want to know, how do you look at this?
We don't talk like this, by the way.
We don't talk like this. I used to have a problem also when there were these youth conclaves, not of any particular channel, and then you would see anchors who used to talk perfectly normally. They would start using words like delulu silulu while anchoring during these youth conclaves. It's very unnatural because you don't talk like that. So then why talk like that when you are trying to talk to the Gen Z? And secondly, these people have still not realized that it's not the way you talk or the platform you talk on that's the problem. It's the politics that's the problem. Whether you talk, I mean, it's the same thing that you're going to talk. Okay, you're going to now.
Do you talk like this on PeekTV?
And the one or two times when we tried talking like this, we got really like, those videos got really bad views because that's not how we talk, right?
We would actually like to tell this to people. You will not find us through this protest also ever using words like delulu or kuchu puchu, resign kar do, or all of these things. You will not see one video where we have reported like this, and still people watch that journalism.
And yet you connect with Gen Z, and yet you connect with the people far more than legacy media or
because these
conventional.
people want to be politically engaged. These people want to have...
Don't dumb it down for them.
Don't dumb it down for them. And secondly, I have a problem with this also because this is disrespecting the movement. It was not a homogeneous movement or an urban elite movement. That everybody was talking like Delulu Silulu. You had people from tier 2, tier 3 cities. You had people from Hindi speaking vernacular boards and all of that. It's not that you had only English speaking South Delhi or South Bombay people. So it was a very heterogeneous, diverse lot. So don't discredit that by constantly reaching out to the Gen Z. It's not like during the feminist movement also people used to say, oh, these are one kind of women. Then later, those women who wear big bindis and they have this thing. So it's not, the moment you stereotype people, you've lost touch.
You've lost touch, correct. And then you alienate people.
Yeah.
And that is something which I can clearly sense you don't do at PeekTV.
Like I still don't know the meaning of what is Vastegunuya. I still don't know what that means.
I also don't know.
So we managed to get through the protest without knowing it.
Yeah. And all those people who are making an effort to sound cool, knowing and talking about it, are making an extra effort.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the point is, it's unnatural, as you said.
Unnatural,
Yeah, this is significant. So, if someone else were to be like PeekTV, you've clearly set a benchmark.
Thank you.
You have. It's a fact. In the sea of social media journalists and legacy media organizations, you too have led an organization. You've built a vertical Instagram first news organization. It's a first. I don't know of any other organization. You would be able to tell me more. Is there such a parallel? Parallel to PeekTV?
We don't think that for short form content there is. For short form journalism, we don't think there is. Of course, there is more of everything that India Today started. But we think that a lot of it, while they have original content also, but some of it is repurposed from India Today, the India Today channel, and some of it is done through content creators. And they also do a lot of trendy stuff. we don't do that. We don't do trendy stuff. Or
As you say, you don't have to dumb it down.
yeah, we do the kind of stories we would do at old NDTV. We do
Yeah.
those kind of stories.
So,
just
so
in a different
what you're trying to say is that don't treat Gen Z as flaky, frivolous. Treat them as serious people, and they want that.
Treat them like any other people.
Any other person, yeah. And give them the real news,
Yeah.
which you are offering.
And for whoever who might want to connect with any generation, it's not to start sounding like them, I think, according to our experience. If I want to connect with your generation, sir, I will not try to sound like you, even though I will fail if I try to sound
How
like you.
do I sound like?
Yeah, if I try to replicate it, I'll look stupid. But we have managed to attract an audience even from your generation, from a generation that ranges from 18 to 50 to 60.
Oh yeah, I know a lot of people in my extended family who had nothing to do with news, and they came up to me and said, PeekTV, these kids are doing really well. I saw the whole coverage on their Instagram page. So you have really managed to create a whole new segment for yourself in this sea of information and news. So if somebody were to be like you, right, they've got a sneak peek into PeekTV, right, but then what else? Be genuine, be honest.
Be genuine, be authentic. I think.
Report from the ground.
Report from the ground. I think before, and I genuinely feel before knowing social media, no journalism.
Yeah,
That is
I
very
was just
important.
thinking.
A lot of people try
Really?
to kind of go into too much about, okay, this is what works on social media.
Hashtag, algorithm.
So
How much does that play on your mind?
Hashtags,
Hashtag
so we don't
algorithms.
use. We don't use hashtags on Instagram. I don't think hashtags
and we
work
don't
on
know
Instagram.
SEO either very well.
Yeah, SEO writing also, that you have to write for social media in a certain way. We write whatever comes to our mind.
Frankly, Vedant and Priyanshi, this conversation gives me a fright. I know journalism.
Exactly.
I know what I am feeling about something. I know there will be other people also who will feel the same way. I don't know algorithm, hashtag, SEO. It appears that on digital this is like a necessary evil. What's your experience?
But it's not necessary, I think, because we don't know, because SEO writing also people are given training in. SEO writing is a
But
certain
that keeps
kind of
changing.
to optimization. So which is why I think just it might sound a bit like stupid or ignorant, but I think just be authentic, because we write whatever we feel is right. We constantly use words like allegedly, reportedly,
Boring
according to this
words.
person and that person. So I mean, so far it's
So
this
don't-
might be a platform difference also, and we might be wrong here. Maybe writing titles and thumbnails
YouTube,
matters more for YouTube. So it depends whether somebody listening to us wants to start something on YouTube, then please don't take our advice. We're just saying for Instagram, we believe at least it doesn't matter so much. We've also seen so many videos going viral that have not our videos, but other videos that have nothing in the caption, no text at all,
Yeah.
no text in the video, and you'll see these videos getting
Frankly, I
millions of
don't know
views.
who reads that text.
Yeah.
Because when I watch a reel, I watch a reel. I don't
Exactly.
read a reel.
So you see it for the content.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's the content that wins, at least on Instagram. Your text or your anything that you're putting in extra doesn't matter.
What next after the protest? Is there suddenly a lull in your life?
Not at all.
Not at all.
As
Back to the news cycle, and news cycle always something or the other is happening. And so
As we were discussing with you that right after the protest got over, we were discussing whether we should go cover Assam floods. Thankfully, the situation got better there. But this also, I would like to tell our viewers through your platform, sir, that while some of you might know us through this protest, this is one example of how we do our journalism.
Just one
So
of the
we would-
many things that the two of and I can attest. They are fantastic journalists.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Fantastic journalists. They are not fantastic news readers or anchors. They are fantastic journalists. And that distinction needs to be made. Last question, on social media, on digital media, there is often this confusion word being spoken about among journalists that behave more like a content creator. Don't be a journalist. How do you tackle this conflict, this conundrum?
it's the same thing as politicians trying to behave like Gen Z to reach out to them. Again,
I find it deeply offensive. By the
deeply
way.
offensive, and it's also
I am a journalist.
Who do you want to be? I mean, if you want to be a content creator, there's nothing wrong in being
Yes,
a
of
content
course.
creator. But we even, and I'll tell you that even the text we write on our videos For our ground reports, we have this white text on the video. We have extensive discussions about what word to use, what word not to use, where to put the colon, whether this should be in quotes.
So the maryada is there.
Very much. After Dharmendra Pradhan resigned, imagine it was a very chaotic moment, and we had to upload a video, and we got internet somehow. But we had this discussion for almost 10 minutes of whether we should put victory for students, victory in quotes or not. And we had a 10-minute discussion on it. Because we thought that, okay, if you're going to say without quotes, whose victory? It's not our victory. But if you put it in quotes, and it should seem like we are mocking them, that, you know, it's a victory that they've gotten. So there's a 10-minute discussion that we had, even in that chaotic moment.
Good. In the middle of a protest.
Yes.
Stones flying around.
Yeah, and you have to break the news. But I also think that our viewers then value this, because so many comments, emails that we get actually talk about these little things. Like just in the morning, I was reading a LinkedIn comment, and it said that through this protest, I saw that even in tense situations, they continued using words like reportedly. This person has reportedly been lathi charged. If I didn't see it, it's reportedly. For people I saw getting lathi charged, or Vedant saw getting lathi charged.
There's a reason, Priyanshi and Vedant, these classical journalistic rules are there. They're there to safeguard, and they're there because they're right. They're correct. So if you want to challenge something, change a rule, do know, are you replacing it with a better rule? If you're not replacing it with a better rule, then this may be for popularity, this is not journalism.
Exactly.
So what you're doing is very much journalism. I am so proud of the two of you. Thank you so much for joining us on this
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for having us.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.